This is my presentation on type 1 diabetes. First of all, what is diabetes exactly? Well, what it is it's a chronic condition in which the pancreas produces little to no insulin, which is a hormone needed to allow the cells to use glucose, which the cells will convert into ATP, which they use for energy. And a lot of people think diabetes is just an overall disease. There actually are two types. Type 1 differs from type 2 in then that type 1 is an autoimmune disease, which means the immune system attacks itself, while type 2 is more influenced by lifestyle, and honestly, like I said, type 1 is more genetics based. Type 2 you can get when you're older, and also when if you're out of shape or have a really bad diet. Those can definitely increase your risk of getting it. Also, it is a little genetic based because it can run your family, but as we said in like one of the discussions, your lifestyle choices make a huge factor on whether you get it or not. And with type 1 diabetes, it often presents itself during early childhood, though it can come around during puberty and even as late as into early adulthood. That's the same with type 1. It's also known as juvenile diabetes. Now, I've said in earlier reports, I myself have type 1 diabetes. I did not get it until I was 17, so I didn't actually have too much of a bad childhood. These are just some facts I found about type 1 diabetes. Excuse me. I just found some of these numbers to be actually kind of crazy. How much it costs, and with healthcare you see that $14.9 billion. That's because, first of all, I can say for myself, insulin is very expensive. It's like, I use flex pens, and a box comes in 5 flex pens, and that's about almost $400 per box, and I myself go through 2 of them a month, so there's $800 just in retail value. And the other picture I have on here is a huge fact that so many people, I don't know, don't understand or just don't get. Type 1, as I said, is autoimmune, in which the pancreas stops producing insulin. As it says right there, it has nothing to do with lifestyle or diet, and it cannot be prevented. So many people think, oh, diabetes is just a lazy disease, or if you get it, because you don't want to eat healthy. That's type 2, not type 1. That's why there is the picture up above referring to what I just said about the type 1 diabetes. I feel like that a lot of times. But anyways, in order to get type 1 diabetes, an individual must have the right gene coding to be susceptible to it. And for my research, they have to have the right HLA, which is human leukocyte antigen. And how basically the whole process of getting it works is a virus will invade the body, and the immune system goes to destroy it when it detects it, just like any cold virus, flu virus, anything. But where everything goes wrong is the virus has the same antigen as the beta cells, and that's, like I said, due to the that's where the individual has to have the right coding and genetics to get this disease, because when this happens, the immune system goes and attacks the beta cells. Now, it does take quite a few years, but over time your body destroys the beta cells, and then basically your body can no longer make insulin. And if your body can't make insulin, well then the body can no longer use glucose, and if the body can't use glucose, well, it's basically like driving a car with no gas. It doesn't work. Even though the body does have a way of getting energy still, even without glucose, and that will be explained later in this PowerPoint. These are some more graphics I have showing, just what diabetes looks like. Basically goes over just what I explained. Now, these are signs of undiagnosed diabetes. So basically, this is like before you would be officially diagnosed. Frequent urination, constant thirst, fatigue, tiredness, always hungry, weight loss, and your wounds they heal slower than what a normal person would. So, from a personal perspective, that's basically what I went through almost. I could drink a whole 12-pack of soda in one night, not kidding. I'd be going to the bathroom every 20 minutes. I'd always be tired. And that actually sucked because back in high school, I used to be tired after lunch and I never knew why. Well, now I know why. And how you get diagnosed is you go to your doctor, and typically, you'll notice things are up and something's off with your body. And so you'll tell your doctor this, and he'll go by your symptoms and also order a blood glucose test. Well, to test your blood glucose, all it really involves is they prick your finger, and then you get like a drop of blood that comes out, and then you put that on a test strip, and it's read by a blood glucose meter, and then you get a reading, and you can see the numbers on the screen, what's normal, what's not. I remember when I went to the doctor, when I went through this whole process, mine was like 200 and something, and they kind of freaked out because, as you can see, 200 is very bad. So now there's different symptoms regarding type 1 diabetes. We got hyperglycemia and hypoglycemia. Hyperglycemia is high blood glucose levels, which means there's too much sugar in our blood. And then hypoglycemia means low blood sugar levels. That means there's not enough glucose in our blood. I put a little graphic on the screen to help illustrate the symptoms of hyperglycemia. They are fatigue, tiredness, dry skin, extreme thirst, blurred vision, hungry feeling, nausea, and frequent urination. And basically how hyperglycemia comes about in one of two ways. Either you eat or drink, take in some kind of carbohydrates, and either you just don't take no insulin at all, or you don't take enough, and that's when you would experience this. Hypoglycemia, this typically, you can get this two ways too. Either you take too much insulin when you go to eat a meal or drink something, or let's say you go all day without eating, you'll get it too. And that is shaking, anxiety, dizziness, sweating, fast heartbeat, hunger, impaired vision, weak feeling, headache, and you can get irritable or crabby. Complications from this are all the symptoms I just mentioned. You go through that stuff, but they can all be treated. Hypoglycemia can be treated obviously by correcting the insulin in your blood, and hypo can be getting some carbohydrates in your body as fast as possible. That could be a piece of candy, or actually quite a few pieces of candy, fruit drink, soda, anything like that. Hypoglycemia also can, if it gets too low, the best comparison is like car without gas, because you can basically faint and lose consciousness, and then if it keeps going low, you can get a seizure, and then you can go into a coma, or even worse, death. As I mentioned in some of my other discussions and stuff, I got to this stage, really scary. Fortunately, all I suffered was, the ambulance got there, my blood sugar got back up, they, used a glucose solution and threw an IV, and so, but yeah, if it doesn't get up, if you're by yourself and you can't get help, it could be a very bad situation. Long term, now this is from what this high blood sugars over like many years do to your body. It can make your blood pressure high. It can take a toll on your kidneys. So in the future, you might need dialysis or even transplant if your kidneys are non-functional. Nerve damage. This happens to a lot of diabetics, actually. The tips of your toes and fingers, and it just keeps going up and up. You lose feeling. And men, they can get erectile dysfunction, also because, it's all due to the blood flow and all Possible limb amputations, that happens because, let's say, as you can see in the last bullet point, you get an infection on your foot. Well, if you don't have much feeling in your foot, you can never even notice it if you don't pay attention. Well, if you leave a wound unattended, well, you can get infected, and next thing you know, you can gain gangrene, or other infections can cause it where they have to no choice but to amputate your foot or your arm, or various limbs. Now the treatment. Type 1 diabetes has to be managed by a synthetic short-acting insulin. That's the only way. There is no, there's obviously doing research in it where you could do like a pancreas transplant, and they're trying new things, and so hopefully I'm all on board that someday they, may find a cure, or at the very least, find a way to better do it than giving yourself shots 5 times a day. But also in addition to this, there's a long-acting insulin that helps create like a borderline insulin, so to help like through your sugars in case they spike due to the hormones or whatever during the day. It's there to help. But now you cannot just take a long-acting insulin and be fine. You still need short-term acting insulin too. And also a blood glucose meter is needed to check sugar levels in case you're ever, The reason why I mentioned before how I ended up fainting was I didn't check my blood sugar. I thought I went by symptoms. I felt fatigued. I took insulin. Well, truth be told, I was just normally fatigued, like just tired from work. And so I didn't need any insulin, so that's why I actually ended up going through a situation. So always got to make sure you're checking. If you ever, have family that's diabetic, or you yourself get even type 2 diabetes and you have to do this. Also, work with your doctor. That's the best advice I can give with this, because there's so many different science scales for the short-term acting insulin and diet plans, and you have to look at anything that has carbs in it. You have to, count. So, it can be pretty hard, but at the same time, like the last bullet says, you can't live a normal life. I myself, I can do anything anybody else can. Just when it comes to the eating part and drinking stuff, you got to just be careful and watch it. Other than that, you can live many years without any complications. So those are just references I used through all this. And so now I hope you guys learned a lot about type 1 diabetes, and fortunately none of you hopefully have it and don't have any families that have it, because there's so many different things that diabetes can cause to go wrong with the body. So thank you guys.